Hello everybody on the second lesson. Today we are going to learn basics of building programs. So this lesson is really important in order to understand programming. Let's hide our manager on the left side because we don't need it right now. I will click view and manager. Okay. Now let's create a new file. Ctrl+Shift+N and stands here for new. We have just created a file which is called the source code. Let's save it. Let's just add here .cpp. Remember about adding the cpp here because you might have problems compiling your programs in the code blocks if you don't add the cpp here, because the default option for saving is the C files, not the C++. So remember about adding that extension here. Okay, we are saving it, and now I will say something very important. We need to understand, we need to know, and always remember that when you write programs, we are doing it for our PC, exactly for our compiler, which will interpret things that we wrote. And we have to remember that our PC, without us, is very stupid. That's true, I am not lying. PC won't be able to guess anything if we make any errors. Computers are doing only that what we want them to do. We are sending them instructions and they have to do them. So if you make any errors when you are writing programs, remember that's only your fault, not the computer. So if you want to write programs well, we have to feel and think like a compiler. So since today we are going to be compilers. Okay, almost every program is going to be read by our compiler from the top to the bottom. So if I write here something like let's assume it's some kind of instructions, orders for computers, right? And we can read code from any place we want. We can jump from one line to another line. We don't need to read line by line, right? We don't need to do anything. It's up to us what we do. But that code will be read by the compiler from the top to the bottom, line by line, okay? And why I'm saying this? Why is it so important to understand programming? Because as I said earlier, we need to start thinking like a compiler, not a human. It will later help us avoiding mistakes. Okay, let's start doing some serious stuff. If you want to write anything out to the users of our programs or respond to their actions, we need to use mostly something what is called libraries. When we talk about library in programming, we are thinking about many tools that we can use to achieve our goals. We will explore many of the tools in the upcoming lessons. So, that tools are some kind of toys that we can play with. So they will help us creating our programs faster. Sure thing is that also we can create libraries, but that topic is a bit advanced. There are many libraries that we can use for free. Some of them are on that website. You can find many others using search engine, like for example Google. Okay, but how to use the library? If we want to use the library, we have to write hash and the word include, which means we are adding library. Then add angle brackets, less than, greater than signs. Between angle brackets, so here, we can use the name of our library. We will use IO stream, which stands for input output stream. Let's note that if you want to note something in our program, well, in our source code, and we don't want it to be interpreted by compiler, we can use the comment signs, which allow us to comment our program. // and I can now write something like IO stream stands for input output stream, and this thing is one line comment, so everything behind here and everything in next line, so for example here or that line, is again interpreted by the compiler. Okay. There is one more way of using comments. /**, which is that small star here, right? And here we can write many comments in many lines. And now if we want to close that comment, we have to use the asterisk and then \. Now as we can see, that text is not being colored by our IDE. Okay. So that way it let us commenting many lines at once. But you might be like, hey, why do I need things like that? Well, comments are really very useful. It's a good idea to comment what our code is doing. Believe me, when you start writing programs that will be over 200 lines long or even longer, you won't be able to memorize everything. You might also write programs and leave them for about 1-3 months or maybe longer, because you will have, for example, holidays, or you just need to look into your code. When you come back to your code to upgrade it or maybe extend it a bit, believe me, without comments it's like a nightmare. Okay, so in situations like that, comments will help you remind what you had programmed. Also, remember that when you start programming with others, they won't be able to understand everything that you wrote. So it's a good idea to make it easier for them, because they will be your teammates, not enemies.